Hey nerds, what's up? Again, coming back at you with a weekly debrief. And since we missed last week, we got a little bit of more news than we normally do. But for now, let me get into it. First off, I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen it. You all heard about it. But on streaming news on Hulu, we got the MODOK trailer. That looks to be fantastically funny. I mean, it dropped, and despite the semi-serious tone of the later MCU iterations of MODOK, this one actually brings a comical feel. It actually reminds me of Seth Green's Robot Chicken days when he did all those funny claymations and using action figures. That's what it reminds me of. But this time, he's a dad and he's trying to figure out how he's going to save his family, all while blowing apart body parts. It's pretty cool. Looks like it's going to be really good, so don't miss it. It comes out on May 21st on Hulu. You definitely want to watch this series. It looks like it's going to be good. Second of all, they're coming out with the Shang-Chi, and I'm especially excited about this because finally we're actually going to get a real rendition of the Mandarin and the Ten Rings, which has been going on since the beginning of Iron Man 1. We finally get to see the Ten Rings. I'm hoping it'll be very, very interesting to see how they do that. Mandarin is an awesome villain. Shang-Chi is the master of Kung Fu. And I would love to see this Bruce Lee-esque Jackie Chan meld together for this really awesome Kung Fu series that they're coming out with. I'm looking very much forward to it, and I'm pretty sure you guys are too. And they're saying it's supposed to be coming out September 3rd, so stay tuned. On comic news, we've got a bunch of stuff going on. First off, Image Comics has announced that Game of Thrones star Emilia Clarke is co-writing her own series called Mother of Madness. Now, this is supposed to bring into light a 3-issue miniseries written by her about a single mom with powers. Kind of like a Deadpool kind of play on the way things work, but with the feminist angle. So it's going to be really interesting, really cool, and the fact that a Game of Thrones megastar is actually penning this is pretty cool. So do not miss that. That's going to be awesome. Next up on comic book news, if you haven't heard, you will now. The 1939 Batman #1 comic book record-breaking sell of $1.2 million broke last week. It's unbelievable because they've never had one that high before for the Batman series because it's never getting a rating as high as this one. They got an 8.0. I'm sorry, the original one got 8.0. The new one got a 9.4. So just a 1.4 rendered difference makes about, what was it? A $1 million difference? That's pretty substantial. It's pretty good numbers. Lastly, on comic book news, if you remember the Frank Miller Sin City, then you will remember how amazingly awesome, visually stunning, and just the storyline itself was just so incredibly cool. Well, if you didn't know this, that was 30 years ago. So with that being said, there is going to be a deluxe 30th anniversary collection of the Sin City, Frank Miller's Sin City, which is going to be amazingly awesome to watch and read because it's going to have a wraparound cover art and a pinup gallery art from Joyce Chin, Amanda Connor, Klaus Janson, Paul Pope, Philip Tain, and Gerard Zafina with a featured software edition. So be sure to look for that on the shelves. It's going to be coming out your way. A 30th anniversary of Sin City, Frank Miller's really good artwork and storytelling. Do not miss this. In movie news, you have The Flash. Now this one, you're like, oh cool, a Flash movie. This one's going to be different because one of my favorite Batmans, Michael Keaton, is supposed to be rumored to come back probably as a Batman. So I'm guessing with Flash and Ben Affleck already being starred in that rendition of The Flash, that tells me this is going to be like a Crisis on Infinite Earth moment or just a different timeline, altered dimension, or something along those lines. You know, The Flash usually gets into because, you know, he's hyperactive and makes a lot of mistakes. But anyways, make sure to watch that. If you're an old Batman fan, I'm sure this is going to hit a lot of you right in the feels. And lastly, in gaming news, if you haven't looked, The Returnal just came out just a few days ago. It is getting an 86 on a Metacritic rating, and if you haven't looked at it, it basically takes a roguelike gameplay into a third-person shooter, and you get to redo your story over and over again to get a different ending, to additional endings and everything else. But if you actually watch the footage, it reminds me of one of those R-type shooting games, kind of like 1942 or like Galaga. It's really cool how they did that in the third person view where you had to like block all these shots coming at you at once. So be prepared to see this. It looks really cool. The graphics are amazing and a new take on the series. So don't forget to check that out. And for you Primal Nerds fans out there, be sure not to miss this Thursday, because this Thursday we have a special event for Theme Team Thursdays, and we will be presenting the Wonder Woman Battlegrounds box set starter set. Now, be sure to pay attention when you watch this video, because you want to stay to the end, because we have something especially for you guys, the fans of HeroClix. So be sure to stay tuned and watch what happens this Thursday on Theme Team Thursdays. I'm Sean, this is Primal Nerds, and as usual, later nerds. Batmans? One of my favorite Batmans. Oh my God. Michael Keaton is